All right, so let's look at this one. So as you can see up there, there's some cameras for rain sensing wipers, and you can see it has a wide windshield. And then down here we come to the bonnet. You got this plastic trim here, and then we have a very high bonnet. It's almost flat, but then it has some creases here on the edges, so on this side and on the other side. And there are various colors, so you got the blue, you got a silver, you got something that looks like a milk tea color, and then over here you have the orange, and this is matte finish, so it's nice. It's not a wrap, it's kind of matte finish. There are people who will like that. Personally, I like that myself. And then we come down to the front, so we have very aggressive grill here in this nice piano black plastic. And then you have your Jetour logo here, which is sitting on this sort of design. And then right above the logo you have a camera, and then right below the grill you have the radar sensor here, which is very visible, so it's going to be able to read the road really well. And right below it is the number plate placement area. As you can see, it's a G700, and it's a hybrid, so you can see the radiator in there, and there's there are wide openings into the radiator, so it's going to allow for some cool air to cool down the engine. And then you have your proximity sensors here, and then you have your fog lights down here. And when you go right above it, you have your headlamps, so you have the two beams here, low and high beam, and then you have your daytime running lights around the beam, but it's all in one assembly. And these will double as turn signals as well. So if we look on the side, you get this sort of Jeep style. And then we go down here, you have some hooks here for towing, so you got one on the left and one on the right. As you can see, it looks really beefy and very good clearance as well. You can see how high it is. So if you're off-roading, you're not going to chip the front of the car. So if I just go to the left hand side, let's look at what we have here. So we have two safety lights here, which will blink when the car is being charged. It's a hybrid, but when the car is in motion, you have it illuminated as well. And if I just step back, you can see how high this car looks. And in there you got your suspension going on, and it's a very nice tough setup. And in here in the wheel well, you can see some carpet material, and the wheel well itself is designed really nicely, giving you a lot of clearance, so you can actually do some serious off-roading with this machine. And this one comes in 275 60 rim 20 tires, sitting on these lovely rims, which look very tough and beefy. And in there you can see a very thick brake disc with some very nice brake calipers in there to give it some braking power. This one is sporting Getty tires, if that's the correct pronunciation, but you can switch them to proper off-road tires if you have the need for it. And if we go on to the side, we got a sensor here, and then we got a camera right below the rear view mirror, and below it you have some other sensors as well. And you can see it's NFC entry, as is on many cars these days in China. Or you can use your phone as entry, and integrated there is your turn signal, which also illuminates blue for autonomous driving. So let me just step back a little. We can see the full length of the car. It measures about 5.2 meters in full length from front to back. I'll put a real figure on the screen, but if we look down here, you have a runner here, which is fixed, but you can also opt for a pop-out version. As you can see, some nice language. You enjoy the off-road G. So let's go around the car before we come to the interior. And I like that they haven't put these sort of pop-out style door handles. They're just regular door handles. They look really tough, but when you pull them, they come off very easily, so that's nice. And you get your blacked out windows from factory, so you don't have to do it aftermarket. And you get this very nice line here that drops all the way down and then onto the rest, onto the back. So, and we go on to the rear tires. It's the same 275 60 rim 20 tires, and very good clearance here as well with that light indicator I talked about earlier. And if we go here, you just press that, it leads to your charging. And it has this very nice logo here to indicate some off-road power. And on top of it, you can see a very nice rail. Let me just take a video of the top. You can also mount, you can change that rail to some proper off-road rails where you can mount a tent and other heavy items on. And if we go down here, you can see it's got some very tough plastic down there. And let's take a look at the lighting department. So there's a very nice, beautiful design of this brake light assembly, kind of like crystallized designs, various designs in there, which are daytime running lights, brake lights, and some will eliminate for turn signals as well. So that's really cool. There's some very nice design language here. And let me just step back a little so we can see the full rear. Now, if we look up here, we see a light bar, a brake light bar stretching from this side to that side, integrated in this black plastic. And then we come to our window area. So even with the spare tire, the window doesn't look too small. I'm sure the driver is going to be able to still see from that window. And here you have the rear wiper hiding behind there. So if someone is standing behind the car, they're not going to easily see the wiper looking ugly there. And you got a spare tire case here, and it's not one of those cheap ones. This is like very nice solid plastic material, very solid. It doesn't creak or anything. And then you have your badge in here. You get a camera integrated there as well. And if we go down here, you also have some hooks here on both sides, so one on this side and one on the other side, for towing or for dragging a trailer or for any other purpose that you want to use it for. And integrated here is a reflector, a rear light, and then reverse light. That's really nice. And in the middle you have your number plate placement area, and as you can see, very good clearance here again with some proximity sensors indicated there. So this is not metal, it's plastic, but I'm sure behind it is going to be some very solid metal like this one. And let me just switch back a little. So here you have some sensors integrated here as well, so for all the safety that you need. Let's go on to the other side so you can see G700. So if I just move on to the right hand side, so the right hand side is going to be basically similar to the left hand side of the car. So let's go and take a look at the interior, starting from the boot. So let's take a look at the boot. So to open the boot, you just press that and then you pull it open. So it doesn't go up, it opens to the side like most Jeeps, but you can see how wide this door is. And you got your window. So interestingly, you can see quite clearly from inside, but once you're outside, then you feel the window is tinted. So that's a really neat feature. And then here you have two grab areas. I'm sure you can just drop bits and pieces here, but mostly for pulling the door to close it. And then on this side you have a hook here which can handle up to 3 kilograms of weight. And the integrated in the door is your triangle. But I like this nice detail here, this cutout here, which exposes the triangle. And so when the door is open, it's also going to serve as a safety. Even if you don't take it out, it's going to serve as a safety reflector. So that's a nice touch. Another hook here. And then you have this mesh here, elastic mesh here, to hold things like documents and other flat documents. And then it has, the interior is made of plastic, so that's cool. And you can see the hydraulics to shut it. So let's look at the opening. So it opens like a rectangle, very wide opening. So loading and unloading stuff is going to be very easy. This is a 5-seater version. You can actually spec for a 6-seater version, but with a 5-seater you have so much space. I'll put a space size on the screen. It's very spacious. I don't think you're gonna need anything more than this, and if you need more space you can collapse the seats and have extra space, but as you can see it's mostly flat. And here you have a 220 AC 220 volt socket, so you just slide down to reveal it. You got some hooks here, you got a speaker grill here, and then you get some extra hooks here to hold on to hold things. Same story going on the other side, and here you have a 12 volt socket, and I like that it's been done really nicely. I like how the cover feels very tactile. And then here you have some little space to put your charging cables and other stuff. And if we look here, due to the huge boots, there is no extra space. It's just bits and pieces that you can drop over there, but for the most part it's just your jacking tools and a few other quick tools that you may need whilst you're on the way. So that's really nice. So let's close the boot and continue from the middle seat. So to close the boot you just push it and it locks. Sounds really nice when you close it, feels very solid. Let's move on to the rear seat. So to go in the rear seat you just open it. Opens really nicely. I think it opens up to, I would say it opens up to about 70 degrees or 75 degrees, so it's going to allow easy entry. And here we look at the door. So you can see the door is a huge door, and it has all these seals here to prevent debris and noise from getting in the car. So it's going to have a relatively quiet ride. And let's see. So the glass is double glazed, and so it's going to prevent a lot of noise from coming in the cabin. And it goes up and down relatively fast. Let's try that again. And this part doesn't open, only this part that opens, but this means that it's going to give you extra lighting coming into the car. And then you can see it's got some nice Napa leather with some nice red stitching here, some aluminum trim here that goes on into to serve as the handle. Got a speaker grill here, speakers coming from Lexicon by Harman Kardon. And then you got this lever here for opening the door, kind of like what VW did with the new Terramon. Then you got some nice interior ambient lighting here, really nicely integrated. Your door area to hold to shut the door, and right below that you have another ambient lighting bar here. And then as you go down it's mostly plastic for the storage area, and then you have another speaker grill there. So looking really nice here, and the door opening is quite wide, and so it's going to be easy to get into this car. So let's take a look at the interior. So looking at the seats, very nice perforations, so it's not just uniform, the perforations are in some kind of pattern, so that's nice. And then here where you have your ventilation and heating coming from, it looks like conventional perforations, but it has very nice red stitching going from the top all the way down and then continuing down here as well. Have some nice beefy headrests, and for the most part I've seen better seats, but for the most part for this kind of car I would say the seats look really nice. And if you look in here you can see the floor is completely flat, and so even the middle passenger is going to be comfortable in the seat. Now sitting in here you have an area to a storage area behind the driver's seat to store some files or papers or things like that. And then here you can have a bracket that you insert in here where you can mount an iPad or a phone or something like that. So if you pull down this armrest, what you have is two cup holders here and an area to rest your hand. So both window passengers are going to be comfortable sitting here, and it's just the right height for placing your hands to rest while the car is in motion. So that's neat. And then to get it back you just do it manually to push it back. And I like how these seatbelt hooks have been recessed, so it's not going to be in the way, but at the same time it's going to be very easy to reach. You have your isofix anchor points, so you just undo this velcro and you're exposed to them, and if you don't need it you just push it back. So that's nice. Now if I sit in the middle seat, we can see we have some real air vents and air vent controls here, so you can control them manually, and I believe it's just the right thing to do for this kind of car. And then you have some real buttons here as well to control your heated seats, your ventilator seats in 3 levels, and massage as well, 3 levels, so for both passengers. So these three to control the passenger behind the driver, and these three to control the seats behind the front passenger. And here you have two type C charging ports. That's really neat. And behind the front passenger seat is storage area and also a table. So the one behind the driver doesn't have that, but if you're sat behind the front passenger, then you can have access to this table, and it's just the right height so you can place a computer or food, or kids can do their homework or whatever you want to do with it. And if you look here, you can see some nice grab handles for getting in the car. And up here you have a speaker grill, you have a microphone inlet, and then you have some grab handles which are very comfortable to hold. And then you have push to activate lighting as well. Now if we look up here, we have some sunshades. So these sunshades, you can open and close them. I'll show that to you in a minute. But if you're sat here, you can actually see the front really well. So let's move on to the front and see what it has to offer. So let's go to the front passenger, and you can see the door also opens to about 75 degrees, and the configuration of the door is basically similar to the rear doors. So let's move on to the seats. Look at the seat controls. We have all the lumbar support buttons, the recline forward, and you also have the thigh or calf support right here, and you can activate it electronically, and you can push it back as well. You need to hold it. You can't do just one button to activate that. And we look at the seating, so you can see a nice perforation in the seats and also a nice stitching. And I like how nicely exposed the hook is. It's going to be easy to reach. And you also have a grab handle here for the passenger to get into the seat, and you got these runners, so all you do is put your feet here and pull yourself up. So that's nice. And let me start from the top. So you got a speaker grill and a microphone inlet here, and if you pull down the visor, it's made of this, it's not Alcantara, but very nice fabric with a very nice design on it. And then you pull this down to, so there's a plastic on it so we can't see, but once you buy it, you can peel it off. You got lighting around it, so it will illuminate your face. And if you don't need it, you just push it back. And up here you got grab handles, so you got a grab handle so you can hold it when you are feeling uncomfortable. And then we go to the front, so you got this plate style vents here which are controlled manually, so that's nice. And then you have a speaker that is not recessable, it just stays there, but it's angled in such a way that makes it look really nice. And overall the top looks flat, so you got your airbag here, and it's going to be very easy to see out of the car because it's flattened on the top. And then here you got small storage area. It's not big enough for most phones, but you can drop coins, keys, and pens and other things there. Got some nice detail here on this aluminum trim with a mountain to indicate off-roading. So everywhere you look, you're going to see something that suggests that this is an off-road vehicle. And to open it up, you just pull the glove box. I like that it's not electronic, it's manual. And then in there is lined with felt, so things are not going to rattle about. But it's not the biggest. I would say it's quite narrow, but just to put bits and pieces there, I think it's in adequate space. And then we come to this nice detail here, very nice detail in the leather, and it's all soft touch as well. And then we go to this side. So from the passenger side, you have an old style type A charging port and a type C charging port. And sitting on the passenger seat, this is what you're gonna see. So let's move on now to the driver's seat. So stepping in the driver's seat, when we open the door, this is what we are seeing here. So the driver's door is quite wide, and its configuration is basically the same, but obviously the driver has extra buttons here, which is like what is done on Land Rovers or cars this height. So the driver has extra buttons here for controlling the windows, four windows, lock, unlock, child lock, and mirror controls, stuff like that, all here. And I like that there's an extra window here to allow for the driver to be able to see more real estate whilst sat in the seat. And we can see the opening is quite wide as well, so it's easy to enter for the driver. And if we look down here, we get the lumbar support buttons here, and you get a recline, seat forward, back, recline buttons right here. And with the runners, let me just grab into, but before I get in, you can see that the driver has some nice grab handles here, and to make it easy to step into the car. And if you look, you have some nice pillows here for the driver's head or neck, and then the same seat configuration is going on here as well, so it looks really nice. So if I just sit inside, let me start from the top here. Around this unit, you've got some nice flashing ambient lighting. You get your SOS button here, which has this door, so you have to push it down to push it so passengers don't hit it mistakenly. And then here you have a hazard button, and you have some redundant buttons here that can be used for extra accessories. And then you get your master control interior lighting button, and then you get your door button here as well. But the interior lighting can be activated individually, and they're touch sensitive as well. Now I told you I'll show you something about the sunscreen. So to activate the sunscreen, you just push that, and as you can see, it goes all the way back. So it's sliding back, and you can actually open the sunshade as well. So if I activate it, you can see that the sunshade is openable, and I can push it back to lock it. That's really cool to see that this car has it. These days a lot of brands are taking them off, so it's nice to see that this car still has it. The upper part is not Alcantara, but I will tell you the design and the feel of the fabric, it's really nice. Now let's look at the sun visor. So the sun visor is similar to what the passenger has, no difference. You got your lighting around it, and then you just push it back. And let's come down to the dash. So we talked earlier about how flat the dash looks, and so it's going to be easy to see out. But since this car is a Jeep style off-road vehicle, either way you're going to see out really well. And let's take a look at this screen here in front of the dash. So rather than having an HUD, which this car doesn't have, you have all this screen running from the left all the way to the right in front of the front passenger, and it's got lots of information, and I believe that the information has been put exactly where they are needed. So for example, if you look on the part that is right in front of the driver, you have the gear selector information, seat belt, parking brake, speedometer, your distance to refill gas, your level of charge of the battery. You got a car indicator there, and you also have an indicator to show what mode you're driving in, and then which doors are open, that kind of thing. Engine light. In the middle here, as you go further to the middle, you have a music indicator. This part indicates your tire pressure. The middle, right in the middle, is your clock information, and then on the other side is battery information, and then you have your compass on that side. And as you go all the way, you have calendar and some other functions there. So looking really nice. And right behind the center screen is a speaker grill, and the speaker that I showed you earlier on the passenger side, there's one on this side for the driver as well. But all these things are coming not intrusive in any way to the driver or the passenger, so that's really nice. And on this A pillar, there is a sensor here, so if you can cover it if you don't need it, but it's recommended to leave it open so that it monitors the driver's level of tiredness and indicate when you need to rest and all that. Now if we come down here, we have the same vents here for the driver. And the steering is also very nice steering wheel, so it's flattened on the top and on the bottom. And on the left hand side you have your indicator, and you can see it flashing there on that screen. And it also doubles as your stock for controlling your wipers. And on the right hand side you have the Mercedes-Benz style gear lever indicator there. And then the steering wheel itself is generally very simple, I would say. You just got your horn, you got your wheel, which is flattened on top and bottom, and then on the side you got your 360 camera activation. You can see how fast it populates when I press it. It responds really quickly, so you can see what is happening around you. And then you got left, forward, back, forward. You got the start button, which I believe is for favorites. And then you got your voice activation. You got your volume control here, so when I push it you can see what's happening on the screen. And that's about it. So a lot of the controls are physical buttons, which we'll take a look at in a second. So yeah, that's about it for the steering. And then on the side here you have open your filler cap, and then for controlling the height of the lighting, the headlamps. And then here hill descent assist button here. Now let's turn our attention to the center storage area. So it's not very deep, but when you lift it, then it exposes this very deep storage area. It goes even beyond my elbow, very deep. So you can store things there, and if you need extra space you can do that. But for quick access you have this tray here where you can just drop things, so that's nice. It opens double way. And then in the middle here you have got some cup holders. You can see these small bottles are just dangling in there, which means that if you have large bottles or large coffee or tea mugs, they're just gonna fit in there. That's nice that they provide a bigger one. But then it also has these grips here which are going to hold things in place that they don't rattle about if they are the right fit. And I talked about buttons, so let's take a look at these buttons here. So there are several modes: mud, sand, snow, and all those, rain, all those modes. But when you're not sure, you can just press the X, and then the car itself selects for you depending on what it detects to be the environment in which you're driving. So that's really cool. So if we look here, you can see EV, HEV, so you can switch which mode you want to drive in. You have some controls for off-roading, and then down here you have the 180 degrees turn function. This car has it as well. You can lock your differentials here and extra functions here, all on this unit, which looks really nice. And this button can also be used to change your modes and your volume and stuff like that. And if we look here, you have many more buttons here, unlike other cars. So many cars are putting them on the screen, but this one is sticking to real buttons, so you can see it activates on the screen. But you have ventilator seats, you have the fan speed, you have auto, off, heating, cooling. So when you're changing the temperature you can use that to do your control, so that's nice. So the driver has dedicated buttons, the passenger has dedicated buttons. And on the passenger side you have extra controls, so wind direction control, windshield heating, rear view mirror heating, and temperature control as well. And then here you have a wireless charging pad. So this is a wireless charging pad. It doesn't indicate how fast it charges, but I would think that it's about 50 watts, because a lot of cars these days charge up to about 50 to 60 watts. And you also have NFC here, so it also doubles as a connection for NFC. And then you have another area which doesn't charge, but you can place a second phone there. We get two vents coming out of here, and they are manually controlled, so that's nice. You don't have to be struggling to do it on the screen. Now let's move on to the screen. I like that the screen is just a regular size. It's not a super huge one like many brands have it. Obviously it's an off-road vehicle, so this screen is going to be adequate. I won't say it's the nicest screen I've seen, but it's equally really crisp as well. Now let's see a few functions on the screen. As you can see, the car's indicator on it. You got a home button, you got your temperature controls here. You can control the direction of the wind and everything. So two-way control. So driver's side, passenger side. And then we go down here, you got the seat controls here. And you also got music controls here, so you can play your music. Go back to the home screen. You can go and populate your apps. So pre-installed apps, your own installed apps, they all go here. And then you get your mapping situation, so the map is not activated. You get your settings button. Obviously this can be changed, I was told, into English, but as you all know, there are so many functions on these Chinese cars now, so it's going to take an eternity to go through all that. And you can set up your windows, your lighting and everything. And then you go to call in function, so you can call once your phone is connected. And you get seat control for the front passenger as well, your volume control. And up here is where you have your 5G, your 360 camera, Bluetooth and all that kind of thing, your profile. So overall, I would say a very nice screen size for this kind of car. And over here you got your start stop button. I like how it's been placed. It's not too huge, it's just subtle, but it's at the same time very easy to see and spot it. Right behind the steering wheel, where the driver's hand will be activating the gear. So that's a nice touch to it. And if we look down here, there's extra storage area for the front passengers, and on the driver's side as well has the old style type A charging port and a type C charging port and a 12-volt socket, angled really nicely for easy access. And down here on the center console, you can see some nice ambient lighting as well. Alright guys, that's the end of the review of the G700 from Jetour. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found this useful. I really love this car. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so we can grow it together. Till I see you in the next video guys, ride legal, ride safe always. Peace, and I'm out.